I'm so excited to be walking through Revival Camp with all of you. This is my second entry, but still within week 1, which is Explore. And I just love that theme. Here I am unpacking the box. I pointed out a paper piece that said Explore that I'm for sure going to use as inspiration for this particular entry. You'll see me here. I'm actually really just exploring the kit and my resources. That's a patch, and it's actually like a Girl Scout patch. So I thought I would try the idea of making it a tab on a bookmark. And you see me measure it here, see what it would be like sticking out the top of my Bible. In the end, I chose not to use it for this entry just because I really wanted to use that paper piece as my inspiration. But I do think I may use it for something else. Here you're going to see me go through a bunch of printables. These I turned into white sticker paper, and they are from other kits that are in the print and pray shop. That's the current printable you get for free when you purchase the kit. These are last year's Revival Camp resources, and then there were some faith planner hexagons I printed there, as well as letters from the 100 Days of Bible Promises. I thought the colors coordinated really well, and then the mountaintops were a printable from maybe couple months ago. So I printed those because I could see that they would correlate really well. I won't use them today, but I definitely plan to use them in the future. So today I'm diving into the Explore devotional. I'm opening up the trail mix here because I had really wanted to see if I could incorporate it as part of the hashtag IF_trail mix challenge. But I ended up not using it. I do know, however, that I'm going to use the little wax paper bag and actually attach it to one of my pages and use it as sort of a pocket for prayers or thoughts that I could add, maybe as a culmination at the end. I am going to do that. I just don't know exactly which entry yet. So my plan is to even use the little pocket it came in along with the sewed title header as an entry. So stay tuned for some images on PNW Bible Journaling of how I use those. Now, I had already journaled in Romans, so I chose a psalm that has been really special to me. I'm working on memorizing Psalm 34 presently, and so when I was looking up verses about hope and hope in Him, Psalm 33 came up, and I thought, you know what, that's the perfect place to land for this entry. So I knew I wanted to focus on the second half of Psalm 33 because it closes with the idea of hope in Him. And really the whole passage is exploring what can be true for followers of the Lord when we trust in His steadfast love and when we trust and hope in Him. So I loved how it coordinated with what Shanna Noel explored in the devotional itself. I had previously done an entry and really focused in on peace and joy and hope, and wanted to continue really meditating on this idea of hope in the Lord. So here I just scraped on some acrylic paints. You can see I have a bowl of colors that I've picked out that coordinate from my stash with the kit. I just scraped some coordinating colors in a small spot. I'm toying with layout here. I knew I wanted to use that little paper piece because it's actually one of my favorite elements in the whole kit. I just love the colors, and I liked that it was quite vertical in design. I'm also going to try a new strategy here with alphas that I just learned at a local meetup, where you lay the letters on some clear plastic, basically the covers of other stickers, or you could even probably use like a paint scraping card, but I saw it done specifically with clear. And you line up the letters exactly as you think you want them on the page, and then it lets you adjust them from there. So maybe you need to spread the letters out, maybe you want to center them more. And so I had hope, the word, lined out on this wordfetti envelope, and I toyed with it in a couple of spots, tried it near the top once I got that little paper piece that says Explore in a spot that I liked it. And then I popped it down near the bottom when I was comparing which stamps I wanted to use and what other sentiments I might want on the page. I thought, I want to end my entry with the word hope because this psalm ends with the words hope in Him. And so I ended up putting it here, you'll see, on the bottom of the page. So basically you just hold the letters down and then you pop your plastic off and you're really able to line them up just how you want them. I definitely like this strategy, and there will be a time and a place for using it versus other times where I work from the edge of the page or the center of the word so that I get my alphas just where I want them. I love to outline my letters, especially when they're light colored, like the ones in this kit, so that they pop. Also because these letters are a lighter color, so on the cream paper, this really helps them stand out. I just used a little adhesive to adhere this paper piece, and I did make sure the top kind of pokes above as the tab for this entry. And then I worked with the stamps, and I will tell you, I have a total infatuation with the evergreen trees. I am from the Pacific Northwest, and I just adore them. So I've already used them in both my entries. I think they just really remind us that it was camping, and it goes so beautifully with the theme. So I added the sentiment at the top, a word phrase from the stamp kit, and then I practiced with different colors. What I wanted to do was kind of layer a light blue and a black. When I worked with this light blue, it really was even lighter than I wanted it to be. So in the end, you can just barely see it behind the black phrase, the black stamp. And then I jump down and try the same thing with the trees. So you'll see me here layer the stamp, and you can really see the nice black ink, and the blue is just really faint behind it. When I tried it with the trees, I found that I had 3 different ink pads that I thought could work well with this kit. I couldn't find my large acrylic block, so I ended up using the lid of the ink pad, which works great. I did have to really focus and make sure that I pressed on all sides of the stamp. Then I just grabbed some scrap paper and was testing the colors. So I tried the same light blue. It has a little bit of black residue from some past stamping, and I didn't necessarily think it was perfect. So then I jumped over and tried a StazOn teal, and I tried another kind of bright blue that I had. None of them were just perfect. And so I kind of got stumped here, but I still knew I wanted to have the trees on the bottom. So I said, hey, what the heck? I will just stamp all the colors along the bottom. And you'll see that as I layer the ink, it did get more challenging. I am not a stamp professional, so I'm still learning how to use them best. I did try to prime them a little because they haven't really been used that much, just one other time. And so I did prime them and practice with them. And in the end, I love the results. I first did that really light blue, and then I jumped in with the teal. When I did the StazOn teal, I think my ink or my actual stamp itself was a little bit damp. So it gave a different kind of crackling effect and even was hard to pull off the page. But that didn't bother me. I just added black to the top and decided, I'll clean it up a little bit and then I'll do one series of black. I loved at that point how the black trees looked. So you'll see I add kind of a continuation on either side of it to make it almost look like the blue stamps are the shadows to the black. In the end, I loved how it turned out. It was one of those things that in the midst of it, I had no idea if I'd ruined my page or not. So it's just a great example of hanging in there and keep trying no matter what, and don't give up, because oftentimes something that you think is a mess up can turn out to be your very favorite thing. So like I said, the little trees along the bottom are just my favorite part and will remind me that this was from Revival Camp. So love that. As well as some of the sentiments that I am expressing in my journaling here later have to do with some really challenging situations going on in my life. And because Bible journaling is so personal, the trees remind me of the exact situations that I'm praying about. So I loved the correlation to my prayers and what's going on in my life with this kit. Next up, I jumped back over and looked at paper pieces. I picked up some of the clear stickers I made. I toyed with what I wanted to do, and I ultimately realized when I reread back over the passage, I just wanted to draw attention to 2 phrases. The first was the hope in him, and I found the words in him, so I put that right below hope. And then as I started to think more on that, I wanted to refocus on where does that hope come from? It comes from his steadfast love. So here you see me lining up all the letters again on the plastic. With this longer word, it was more challenging to get the letters exactly where I wanted them. But in the end, when I placed them on my page, I'm actually quite pleased with the ability to move the whole word around and see where it fits best. So you'll see me do that, where I take steadfast and I put it near the top. I look in the areas where I know for sure I don't want certain phrases of the scripture covered up or other words that I'm okay with. Here I'm checking the actual scripture for how to spell steadfast to make sure I get it all correct, as well as where the phrase itself, steadfast love, was located, because I wanted to think about where I put the word. So I'm even intentional with word placement, or where I actually choose to write my journaling, so that words don't get covered up or so that it draws attention to certain passages of scripture. This strategy of lining my letters up on the plastic was something I mentioned earlier that I learned in my local meetups for Pacific Northwest Bible journaling. And so if you are in the upper left of the US, I have a local Facebook group you can join. If you're not, you can still join and participate with us digitally. But then if you are in the Pacific Northwest, you can share local meetups and connect with us there. So here you see I got steadfast onto my page. I chose again to outline the word. I just really like those keywords to pop, and given that the alphas this month are so darling, they are a very light seafoam green with cream polka dots. I want them to stand out even though they are a light color. So I also ran when I saw that Target had some fun rainbow colored alphas that actually correspond really well to the kit colors, and I have those. So I'm planning to use those on some upcoming entries with those darling colorful mountains that I showed you earlier. And one of the things I liked about doing this entry at a really slow pace, it actually was about 30 minutes for me, was that I started to get some fun inspiration and ideas for how to use the pieces in future entries. And I find that I'm able to do future entries after the first one or two a lot quicker because I have those ideas, just even the creative ideas to then match with the devotions as I read them. So there I found love in the basics word fetty set, and I added that under steadfast. And then I just decided I would add in my thoughts and I would journal my prayer to the Lord in the open space. I always underline after I'm done writing my own thoughts on the page, so that I know that it's my thoughts versus a quote from somebody else. And then I will probably actually go back and add in the Romans reference that was from the Explore devotional, so that I also remind myself to look at both. I settle on just covering the corner with paint, which in the end, I really like how having paint on either side of that banner looks. One of the things you'll see me do here in a second is I pick up the paper pieces element that came with the kit that are punch outs. And here you see me pull the paper pieces over to take a look at what maybe I could add. The thing that I was excited about when I did this was it gave me an idea. And my plan is when I pop out the deer or maybe the canoe paddles, I may use it like a stencil. See there where I lined it up? It occurred to me, I would be able to kind of stencil or trace an additional deer shape or oar shape and then paint it or color it myself. So that was kind of a fun, exciting inspiration I got. And now you'll see the video actually pauses here because I decided I wanted to add one last element, and I came across this paper piece that says draw me closer, and it's a double-sided arrow. I end up cutting off one side and just using the two-tone blue teal. And what I want to point out is I like the entry both ways. I'm really into layering, and so I liked how it looked with the arrow and without the arrow. So I'm actually going to show you the two options. I did let people vote over on my Instagram if you want to add your thoughts on which option I should select. So take a look here at option number 1 that has the arrow, and then option number 2 coming your way without the arrow. And I hope you'll head on over to Instagram to share your thoughts on which you like better. Stay tuned for more entries for Revival Camp with Pacific Northwest Bible Journaling and Inspiration Clothesline. Thanks for tuning in. Happy camping!